The theme of this talk this evening is mental proliferation and uncertainty and the unknown. And uncertainty and the unknown are very faithful companions on our lifelong journey. And we have rather a bit of aversion to uncertainty and the unknown. And what that leads to is mental proliferation, trying to fill that gap of the unknown. Lots of speculation, storytelling, and is often incredibly exhausting to do that. So I actually, when I thought about what I would write, what I would talk about tonight is actually a talk to myself, because I thought I needed a very good reminder about mental proliferation and uncertainty. And I think that all of us do, because it's incredibly hard to remember not to do mental proliferation in the face of uncertainty. And some events in life actually are more glaringly blasting that reminder of uncertainty. And I've certainly lived in one in the Lismore area where the floods have just totally devastated everyone's lives up there. And in fact, it's interesting that the immensity of the devastation has actually prevented speculation. And you would think, I mean, it's incredibly uncertain and unstable and unknown what's going to happen up there. But because of the immensity, the mind can't even grasp where it would go with what is the future, because the future, that's what we're trying to capture, is what is going to be the future, and it's impossible to capture it up there, I find. I mean, it doesn't mean that people aren't doing it and so on, but I just noticed with that immensity, that was the effect on me. But what sort of stimulated this reflection on mental proliferation was the big change in the quite surprising change in the government after the last election, very recent change. And I found that I was starting to do speculation on that, and you listen to enormous amount. I mean, that's what the media does, and that's their job, and I'm not trying to stop that. What needs to stop is the wearisome clogging up of our consciousness and our capacity to see what's in front of us, because we're speculating about the future and we're taking a fragment of the present and we're that's largely what speculation is. It's a fragment of the present, and we leap into expanding it into some future scenario. And I don't know how many people have actually been accurate about a future scenario they've speculated on. I don't think too many. Has anyone found themselves to be enormously accurate about their speculation on the future? I don't think that's what happens. And so either way, if with the flood event, you would say that speculation is going to be quite pessimistic, and with the election event, for many people, it seems quite an optimistic change. But it doesn't matter whether we're doing pessimistic speculation, whether we're doing optimistic speculation, whether it's about an enormous thing like a devastating, life-destroying flood, or a change in government, or whether it's just a small thing, the last thing someone said to you as you left the office, or something a friend said or your partner said, and what do they mean by that, and then off the mind goes onto speculation. It doesn't matter the size of it. What matters is that we clog up our capacity to see clearly. We clog up our capacity to really see clearly. So we're looking at seeing in the world of form, which is our everyday life, and seeing and understanding the formless aspect of life, the form and the formless. And in the world of form, we need to make very, often we need to see things clearly because we need to make good decisions about our lives, and we need to see very clearly. But if it's clogged up with this and that and the other, it's hard to see. And when the mind is clogged up and attaching to future scenarios, it's not seeing the nature of existence, the impermanent, empty of self nature of existence. It can't see that because speculation is also about creating the self. It's building up a self, an understanding of the future created by your mental aspects of your mind and so on. So in that way, it's very energy sapping, and it's especially, I think, on this very small level of what that person said to me, or what that person didn't say to me, or how they looked at me, or this, that, and the other, on the very small, what I would call a very small level, but it actually, we build it up to quite a big level. That is one of the most sapping things in life. So we don't want to weary ourselves. Life is not an easy thing and to navigate, and we want to support ourselves in every way to navigate life so we can live it with ease and well-being. And putting down that speculation habit of the mind is a very good thing to do. So the Buddha said, guard your mind with diligence. Guard your mind with diligence, because it becomes like a spell when we get caught up in a role of speculation. And so the antidote to speculation is, surprise, surprise, present moment awareness. So if we feel into the pleasant body sensations of the event that is triggering the speculation, so maybe for many, there were very pleasant body sensations about a change in the people who are representing us. For the flood people, it's very unpleasant body sensations. We need to let ourselves feel those, and feeling into the noticing unpleasant feelings, noticing pleasant feelings, and noticing mind states. So we're very present with what's happening in our mind. And we're aware of, the more presence we have, the more we can be aware of the tendency to perceive meaning and meaningful connections between unrelated things. The mind is very obsessed with pattern making, and it can get very distracted with perceiving things that are not, perceiving connections where they don't exist, because the mind loves order and patterns. And we're very often unconscious of that. And there's a story that a number of you will have heard, because I've told it a few times, but it's very well fits into this reflection on speculation, is that where I live in the far north coast, there are these wonderful sulfur-crested black cockatoos, and they generally turn up on the land where I live when it's about to rain. And it's what is the word? It's not causal. Tell me the word. It's a correlation. It's a correlation. It is not causal, because it doesn't always rain. But there's this sort of story now that every time the black cockatoos turn up, it rains. And we're all sitting around the dinner table in the community where I live, having communal dinner, and someone says, oh, I saw black cockatoo, a flock of black cockatoos today. And we all sit there and we look at each other meaningfully. No one has to say anything. And we're all thinking it's going to rain. Anyway, one of the guys on, he's coming back to the table with his dinner, and he says, all you can say is that you saw black cockatoos today. And we all burst into laughter because he just broke the spell of that speculation that was going to rain. And what's interesting, since the beginning of the year, we've only had 14 dry days, 14 dry days since the beginning of the year. And we haven't seen one black cockatoo in that time, all that rain and no black cockatoos. And of course, what a speculation or a false making of meaning like causation around cockatoos and rain doesn't let you see when they come and it doesn't rain. So you start to have a distorted view of things when you put things together that aren't necessarily together. And yeah, okay, so there's a very lovely, I don't know, you've probably all heard this story as well, of the old man and the horse. How many people have heard that story of the old man and the horse? Yeah, some of you have. So there's I think it comes from either China or Japan. I'm not sure. I think it might come from China. It's a very old story. There was a very poor man, and all he had was one magnificent possession, which was an incredible white horse. And it was so fabulous. Everyone wanted the horse. Kings wanted it and offered fabulous amounts of money for it. And of course, he wouldn't sell it. And the people around him in the village were saying, oh, you should sell the horse because one day something will happen to it or it'll get stolen. And at least you'll have the money if you sell it. Anyway, one day came and the horse was gone. The horse was gone missing. He didn't know whether it was stolen or the horse had run away or the door had been left unlatched. So the villagers gather around, and with the usual thing that happens when something goes wrong, oh, we told you so, sort of stories, and said, oh, well, if you'd got a good price for it now, you've got nothing in your pocket now, and we told you so, and so and so on. And the old farmer, he's a wise man, like the man on our community, and he said, don't go so far. All we can say is the horse is not here. Anything else is a speculation. And 2 weeks later, the horse returns with a dozen other horses. And so the people gathered and they said, you were right, old man. We were wrong. It is not a misfortune. It's proved to be a blessing, which is a total misinterpretation of what he said. He didn't say any of that. He said, all you can say is the horse is gone. So the old man said, don't go so far. All you can say is the horse has returned with a dozen other horses have come with it. Who knows whether it's a blessing or not? It is only a fragment. And this time the people didn't say much, but they knew inside themselves that it was a blessing and the old man was wrong. And because the horses could be sold for quite a profit. So a week later, the old man's son went out to train the horses. And of course, he fell off one and broke his both legs. And so, of course, around come the villagers again and with their, oh, you were right, old man, it wasn't a blessing, which wasn't what he said. Your son is crippled and so on. And the old man says, you are obsessed with judgments. Who knows whether it's a blessing or not? Only say that my son has broken both his legs. It's a fragment. And of course, shortly afterwards, the country goes to war and the army comes and they're taking all the young men from the village. And of course, the old man's son can't go because he's got broken legs. And so around come the villagers again and say, oh, you were right, old man, it's a blessing. At least you have your son. He's not going to be killed in the war. He'd be certain to be killed in the war. And even though your son is crippled, you have him. And so the old man says, it's impossible to speak to you people. You are obsessed with speculation and judgment. Who knows if it's a blessing or a curse? Only life knows. Such a beautiful story. And such a reminder not to put ourselves into direct battle with the movement of life, which is a mystery. The movement of life is an incredible mystery. And we frequently and unconsciously put ourselves into battle with it. So how can we respond? Before I go on, there are many other stories like that. I'd like to tell you some more, but I'd like also to have some conversation with you, so I won't tell you any more stories. But there's another one where I think the words are very good to remember, where the monk, it was a Japanese story where the monk, something happens and the monk just says, is that so? So it's also a nice thing. All you can say is, or is that so? So we have a new federal government, is that so? All you can say is that we have a new federal government. And it doesn't mean that we're shutting ourselves off by not speculating. It means that we're thinking more clearly. So it doesn't mean we're shutting ourselves off from taking wise action. What it means is that any action that we take that's not based on mere speculation is going to be taken with more wisdom. So that's what we're aiming for. So in this way, we can respond to situations of difficulty with a calm mind if we notice that capacity for speculation. And our level of suffering always depends upon how we think about things. And so, especially in my case, where the aftermath of the flood of total devastation, the absolute best thing and the most precious thing is present moment awareness. Present moment awareness. My life has changed absolutely radically, and the life of many other people. And it's present moment awareness that sustains me in that situation and many other people I know. So our roads are absolutely so bad, I can't go out at night anymore because of the potholes. And I'm just thinking, there's enough physical potholes around me without giving myself the weariness of mental potholes. So finding your own way, we will only find our own way by reflecting on the nature of our own mind. Finding your own way to live with uncertainty. And that is the way of presence of mind, your presence of mind. How are you going to do that? Through body sensations, awareness of feelings, and awareness of mind states. And in that presence, uncertainty takes its place among the many things. It doesn't become the standout thing. It takes its place among the many things of life. And the immeasurable mind of equanimity expands to a willing and undefended meeting with whatever arises. So let's have a few moments of silence. Thank you for listening. And then we'll have some time to